Mary, she's here from the Hay Center. She's over there, but everybody who works with the Hay Center and our foster youth, just incredible leadership, incredible servant hearts. So thank you guys. What we're announcing, hopefully passing today, this is their work, and I want to recognize that. We have Nico Lorenzanos today as well, who's from the Hay Center Foundation, and he has helped make this possible. And very, very thrilled to be here with Sarah Pinion, and she is one of our youth incredible success stories, and she'll share a little bit more about her experience. And of course, Commissioner Ellis, in whose precinct this project will be, and who has been an advocate always for our youth and for the future of this state. Lastly, I want to acknowledge the City of Houston for their partnership in this effort. Last week I traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with folks from the administration at the White House, the Secretary of Urban Development, Housing and Urban Development, Commissioner Ellis and I were there, the Secretary of Transportation. And it was just a breath of fresh air to be there when we are receiving so much support from the federal government, and this is another example of that. The one big theme from my visit and all the meetings I had was infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. And that's what today's about. We are here because of the enormous amount of funding we're receiving from Washington for COVID recovery, for infrastructure, and it's truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we're putting to work for our community and for the youth in our community. So I want to acknowledge the Biden administration's role in that. It's a chance to rewrite the playbook, to re-examine how we operate as a county, to reimagine what public and private partnerships look like in this community. So this is about the foster care system. It's no secret that the foster care system in Texas is in crisis. We have all seen those tragic headlines and terrible stories. There hasn't been enough capacity, enough caseworkers. Caseworkers are stretched too thin. Temporary placements are often inadequate, and that's putting it mildly. So today we're focusing on young people, and specifically the youth who age out of foster care. For most of us who remember turning 18, it was a special milestone. We could vote, we were adults, a special time. But that is not always the case for the around 200 youth in Harris County who age out of foster care every year. The challenging transition they face when they age out of the foster care system can go one or two ways. They can find stable and rewarding employment, education, whatever a productive and rewarding next step is, or they can find themselves alone. They can find themselves without guidance, without stable housing, at risk of becoming homeless, or even worse, perhaps involved with the criminal justice system. So the Hay Center has been supporting and every day works to support our foster care youth, helps them in the transition through wraparound services from well before when they're 18. They've been doing this since 2005. This is a Harris County division, the Hay Center, and on behalf of our county and county government supports foster youth until they're 24. But housing is a key part of that support. The Hay Center staff, these professionals, have learned that stable housing with wraparound services is the recipe for success to set these youth up for independence and a successful life in whatever it is they choose to do, so they can get on their feet. So that is why Harris County and our Hay Center has developed this incredible $35 million project to create housing and wraparound services for foster youth ages 18 to 24 with a step-down system to make sure they're on their feet as they leave this housing. And so it's a complex. It is called the Hay Center Campus, and you guys will see it. We'll have the shovels running soon, and hopefully pending this passing Commissioner's Court, and it should be up and running relatively soon. So today the county will consider allocating $24 million, including $5 million from the American Rescue Plan, including funding, additional federal funding to authorize the construction of this physical infrastructure and wraparound services for the kids who age out of foster care. This will help create a home for young people in this tough transition. The home will be part of a community with access to public transportation, employment opportunity, green spaces, other folks who are there with them. It'll house 50 youth of the 200, and that is a very significant investment in percentage of the youth that need this kind of support. Of course, not all of them need this kind of support and wraparound services. The architect didn't come up with this model in a vacuum. It was designed with the direct input of young people like Sarah, who have experiences for being in the foster care system, what worked, what didn't work, who understand the anxiety of aging out of that system, and based on models from other jurisdictions. This is the first center of its kind in our state, certainly in our area. So it is a 41,000 square foot residential building, 50 apartment units with a full kitchen, washer and dryer, community space, and the wraparound services for 50 apartment units. It's a dedicated campus, and it will ensure not just that they're on their feet, but thinking about the homelessness issue, help prevent homelessness. And look, I hope that this, and I know that this will go a long way in making sure that our young people have a fair shot at pursuing the life they wish to live. And as we head into the holidays, and the refrain is, we always say home for the holidays. We want to make sure that these kids have a home to go to. So thank you again to everybody. Let me repeat my remarks in Spanish very briefly, and I'll hand it over to Commissioner Ellis. La semana pasada viajé a Washington, D.C. Me reuní con líderes en la Casa Blanca, con el director del Departamento de Transporte, la directora del Departamento de Vivienda y Desarrollo Urbano y los miembros del gabinete, pues. Y fueron reuniones muy productivas, especialmente porque estamos recibiendo bastante apoyo por parte del gobierno federal, por primera vez realmente desde que estoy yo como juez del condado. El tema consistente a través de todas estas conversaciones fue la infraestructura, porque nos está apoyando muchísimo la administración Biden en construir proyectos como el que vamos a anunciar el día de hoy. Gracias al paquete de recuperación después del COVID, al paquete de infraestructura que vamos a recibir, tenemos una oportunidad de realmente utilizar nuevas estrategias para atacar problemas que han enfrentado a nuestra comunidad por años, si no son décadas, asociaciones públicas, privadas, iniciativas creativas y ambiciosas. Hoy estamos llevando a cabo un proyecto en cuanto al sistema de crianza temporal de Texas, el sistema de foster care. Sabemos que este sistema de crianza temporal está en crisis. Todos hemos leído esos artículos de las condiciones tan trágicas en las cuales viven muchos de estos niños en el sistema de crianza temporal. Entonces, hoy vamos a trabajar en atacar esto. Para muchos de nosotros, el cumplir los 18 años es una celebración importantísima. Ya podemos votar, ya somos adultos, bueno, la independencia. Para los muchachos en este sistema, el cumplir los 18 años puede ser el momento más difícil de la vida, porque es a esa edad que salen del sistema de crianza temporal y quedan absolutamente solos. Muchas veces terminan sin hogar, como personas sin hogar, terminan el sistema de justicia penal, a veces víctimas de tráfico humano. Es una cosa bastante trágica. Hay alrededor de 200 jóvenes anualmente en el condado Harris que salen del sistema de crianza temporal al cumplir los 18 años. En el condado Harris tenemos un departamento, se llama KHOU Center, que apoya a los muchachos, a los niños, a través de todo el sistema de crianza temporal. Y no se encargan de los niños, pero sí los apoyan con iniciativas, con recursos, todo esto. Lo que hemos diseñado como condado es infraestructura física, apartamentos para 50 de estos jóvenes, de los 200, o sea, es un porcentaje muy alto, para que estos muchachos tengan dónde vivir después de que cumplan los 18 años y también que tengan vivienda segura y estable, pero apoyo alrededor de cómo encontrar un trabajo, de cómo asegurarse que no terminen en situaciones problemas. Esos servicios integrales, esa vivienda estable, son la receta para éxito, la receta del éxito para garantizar que nuestros jóvenes en el sistema de crianza temporal puedan lograr la independencia. Es por eso que hemos desarrollado este proyecto de $35 millones para ofrecerle esta vivienda y estos sistemas a los muchachos. Hoy vamos a considerar el aprobar 24 millones, ya se han aprobado 10 y espero que mis colegas voten por esta iniciativa. Esto es algo de lo cual estamos muy orgullosos. Este diseño no salió de la imaginación de un arquitecto solamente. Es algo que fue diseñado con comunicaciones con los mismos jóvenes. Por ejemplo, está aquí Sarah, ella vivió estas experiencias. Jóvenes como ella informaron este diseño, también las prácticas, los ejemplos alrededor del país. Este va a ser el primer campus de este nivel, con este nivel de ambición, con este nivel de inversión en nuestro estado de Texas. Va a ser un edificio residencial de 41,000 pies, 3 hectáreas, van a haber 50 unidades, gimnasio, centro de negocios, etc. Y hay que decirlo, no falta mencionar, esto también nos ayudará a atacar y prevenir el tema de los homeless, el tema de las personas sin hogar. Entonces, ahora que vamos ya hacia las Navidades, hacia las vacaciones, debemos recordar tantas canciones que hablan de estar en casa durante las vacaciones, de estar en hogar. Entonces, hoy nos aseguraremos que estos niños y estos jóvenes tengan un hogar a futuro y me enorgullece mucho eso. Espero que mis colegas apoyen esta iniciativa. Thank you so much, Commissioner Ellis.
Thank you, Judge, and I want to congratulate you for the work on this. We are very pleased that the mayor is supportive. Obviously, the council has a vote on it. I'm glad, Judge, you picked this item because I hope it passes unanimously today. I want to thank Sarah, who's going to speak after Joel speaks. I did ask who was Hay, who was Miss Hay or Mr. Hay, so to explain to the judge's office, the young people came up with the name, H-A-Y, Houston Area Youth, right? Houston Alumni Youth. It's simply astounding that so many young people, once they graduate out of the system, are out there on their own. This transition from foster care can be abrupt. I have an 18-year-old in my household. I cannot imagine her having to figure it out on her own. These youth, many of them still teenagers, are expected to shift from being dependents of the state to being independent adults overnight. I'm glad to have this project in Precinct 1 on the Gulf Freeway. It's a great site. For these 50 people it will help initially, we're all hopeful it will work well, and that means that there's room for another 50 to be included. Just last week when we met with Secretary Hood, they were asking questions about, are we being good stewards of the money that they're sending us? This is a perfect example of doing something to make sure we avoid generational poverty. So with that, I know we're on a short fuse. I want to bring up Joel Levine, the brain behind making sure all of the wheels are running on this train. You got it?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there. Good morning. Joel Levine, Department Head for Harris County Resources for Children and Adults. The Hay Center is a program of our county department. I would like to thank Judge Hidalgo, Commissioner Ellis, and all of Harris County Commissioners Court for their ongoing support of this project. This could not happen without Harris County Commissioners Court. And the Hay Center is unique in that we work with all youth aging out of foster care in our community, and we have the opportunity to prepare our youth for housing opportunities, including our campus. We firmly believe that no youth should have to experience homelessness or have to make a choice to live in unsafe conditions simply because they are aging out of foster care. For many years, this campus has been a dream and a vision for the Hay Center staff, for the foster youth, and our supporters. And I especially like to acknowledge Miss Mary Green, who is here today, who is our director of the Hay Center. She has put in, over the years, hours and hours and hours and weekends of sweat equity to make this dream a reality. And we would not be here today without Mary's leadership on this project. And this will be a place where youth can call their own, a home and community where our youth will have the space, security, and the resources they need to grow into who they were meant to be. The Hay Center is we call the Hay Center a public-private partnership. It is a program of Harris County Resources for Children and Adults. The staff are staff of Harris County. though we also, in addition to the generous support from Harris County and our state contracted dollars to the Department of Family and Protective Services, to be able to provide what we need for our youth, we also stood up in 2015 a foundation, a private nonprofit board called the Hay Center Foundation that raises funds and advocates for our youth. And I'm also here today as Nico Lorenzatos, who is the current chair of the Hay Center Foundation Board. The Hay Center provides services to current and foster former youth in the Houston area ages 14 to 25, including assistance with housing, mental health, employment, mentoring, and education. And I want to say that youth voice is the most important part of everything the Hay Center does. Everything that we do, and this campus is no exception, involves our youth. And we were lucky to have a pro bono visiting session project by Gensler Architects with 60 stakeholders at the table, and the most important voice was our youth. And so it's a pleasure that I bring up one of our youth who participate in those visiting sessions and utilize many services from the Hay Center, Ms. Sarah Pinion. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I just want to say that I have participated in every program at the Hay Center between our life skills classes, our mentoring, and even the bridge housing program. And I'm currently on a voucher thanks to the Hay Center. Sorry. Knowing that the Hay Center has given me housing and freedom to pursue my own career and my own dreams, especially at a younger age, was productive. Sorry.
You've done very well.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
The Hay Center starting capturing youth between the ages of 15 and 17 within kids within the foster care system, and able to give them housing and vouchers opportunity after they turn 18. If I had the opportunity of this housing program earlier, I would have been more successful and more on track of my life than I am now. And I believe this campus that we've participated and got the opportunity to put our own voices in will be a benefit to many youth. Right,
What
thank
is your
you.
message? What is your message for youngers like you that maybe are just thinking about to have this opportunity in the future?
As soon as this campus is built, there'll be more opportunities for you. I'm sorry we didn't get to it sooner.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good work. Any questions?
¿Dónde, en español, dónde estará localizado este centro? Habla usted de que tendrá 40 hectáreas, si no me equivoco, dijo. Perdón,
Sí.
40,000 pies, si no me equivoco. Dijo usted, permítame, quiero tomar mis notas. Hablaba de las características, dijo que serán 41,000 pies cuadrados, 3 hectáreas, 50 apartamentos, habrá muchos servicios, pero ¿dónde estará localizado este lugar?
Exactamente en el Gulf Freeway. Les paso la dirección exacta, no la encuentro en las notas, pero se la enviaremos. Es en el precinto 1. Y lo interesante, lo importante es que con esas 3 hectáreas tenemos espacio para construir 50 unidades más si fueran necesarias. Pero sí he hecho la pregunta, ok, ¿50 unidades son suficientes? Y me dicen, sí, o sea, si hay 200 que se gradúan a los 18 años, la mayoría tienen, pueden pues valerse por sí mismos. La mayoría tienen ese nivel de independencia, pero hay algunos que no lo tienen y esos son estos 50. De repente sean 100, entonces vamos a ver cómo nos va con y hay la oportunidad de crecer a 100 unidades, lo cual es increíble.
¿Cuántos son los jóvenes que hay en este momento en el sistema de foster care? How many children do we have on the system that foster care run?
Is it the 1,400? Why don't I let you answer that question? Yeah.
Okay, how many? The Hay Center serves youth ages 14 to 25. We have about 200 that age out on a given year on average in this region. So we serve about 1,400 at any one time.
So, and what I want to make clear, y en español, entonces servimos alrededor de 1,400 personas en ese sistema de crianza temporal, pero apoyamos normalmente es con recursos, apoyos, ayudarles a conseguir trabajo, ese tipo de cosas. Esto es importante, es diferente, es impactante porque les da específicamente la vivienda. And just to be clear, so we serve, the Hay Center serves foster youth with resources. So resources on how to get a job, on life skills, etc. But what's really impactful and important about this is the housing component. Housing plus wraparound services, and then what we call the step-down model. So even when they get to 24, you help them get, by then you've built the life skills, you've helped them get on their feet. We all know this, you're very different, much more independent, 24 to 18, and at that point kind of ease them out.
All right, we've got time for one last question. Anyone else have questions?
Pues una pregunta. Hoy se cumple un año de la primera vacunación en Estados Unidos contra el COVID. ¿Cómo cree usted que ha transcurrido en el condado Harris las vacunaciones y qué se puede hacer porque no hemos llegado al 70% todavía?
Sí, en el condado vamos caminando en cuanto a las vacunas, no estamos donde debemos estar. Miren, todavía hay bastante incertidumbre en cuanto a la variante Omicron. Hay cosas que no sabemos. Lo que sí sabemos es que bien sea esta variante o sea otra, el arma más poderosa que tenemos en contra de este virus son las vacunas. Entonces, vuelvo a pedirle a todos que se pongan la vacuna. Por parte del condado hemos hecho todo lo posible para llevar las vacunas a todas las comunidades. Hoy día tenemos un enfoque especial en los niños, entonces estamos trabajando muchísimo con las escuelas y cualquier centro que trabaje con niños para llevar las vacunas, hacerlo lo más fácil posible, pero necesitamos que todo padre, toda persona escuchando esto, si no se han vacunado, este es nuestro tiquete para salir de la crisis y todavía nos falta, la gran mayoría de la comunidad se ha vacunado, pero esa minoría, si ellos se enferman, pueden volver a subir las hospitalizaciones. Y sí estamos viendo, los números han mejorado muchísimo, pero ya se aplanaron, tienen cara de volver a subir. No queremos otra ola del COVID en esta comunidad.
¿No tiene miedo de que tengan que subir el riesgo de alerta una vez más?
Todavía no sabemos si este aplanamiento de los números significa que estamos empezando una nueva ola o que simplemente se detuvo un poco esa pues mejoría y van a seguir bajando los números. Entonces, pues falta ver, pero lo que sí sé con certidumbre es que viendo otras comunidades, bien sea en el país o a través del mundo, hay más olas, aún en comunidades que tienen cierto nivel de vacunación, porque hay que vacunar muchísima más gente, o sea, casi todos, para que no volvamos a impactar los hospitales. Entonces, pues es una posibilidad que vuelvan a subir los números y tengamos que volver a nivel naranja, a nivel rojo. Esperemos que no, está en nuestras manos. Esto no es algo al azar, está en sus manos el ponerse la vacuna y también el refuerzo. Hemos descubierto, los científicos nos dicen, refuerzo es crucial. Entonces, por favor, también, yo me lo puse hace 2 semanas, me sentí regular como unas 12 horas, eso sí les cuento, es igual que la segunda vacuna, no se siente un poquito regular, pero ya pasa y pues, tenemos una defensa fantástica contra el virus.
Thank you. We've got to get the commission and the judge to court.
Can you say that in English?
Yes, we there's a lot of uncertainty on the Omicron variant, so the jury's still out in many ways, but what we do know is whether it's that variant or another variant, the most powerful tool we have against it are vaccines, and we've worked very hard in Harris County to get those vaccines to every corner of the county. You guys know the incentives we've tried, so many creative initiatives. Now we're very focused on kids under the age of 12 going to the different schools, the areas that work with kids, but there's certainly a possibility that numbers could go back up. Right now our numbers we're going down, they're flattening. We don't know if that means they're going to go back up or they're going to keep going down, but we are seeing in other communities around the world and around the country that they're looking at another wave. So it's not a random thing. It is entirely in our hands to stop another wave from happening, and that means if you're hearing this and you don't have your vaccine or you don't have your booster, get it done. I got my booster about 2 weeks ago. Felt so for about 12 hours, and then since then I've just felt great. I know I have the most immunity against the variants that are out there. So get it done. Help us out. Thank you.
No, thank you. You did well. Thank you. You did well. You did very well.